What is up, YouTube? I got some surprises. I expected that Evo Sporty motor we were working on to be apart for way longer than it is. So here is the clutch basket with the bolts for the primary, I believe. That's the cam chest stuff over there. I went through that motor when I opened it up. There was a bunch of metal shavings in the crank, so we had to bring it over to the shop, degrease the crap out of the thing, run that through the degrease tank. So now, here is the cases with the flywheels. No more oil in here. Still feels really good. A little bit of left and more right wiggle, but we're gonna run with it. If this ends up being an issue, I'll tear it back down. It's winter now, so not that big of a deal. Went through, got all the metal flakes out of the cam chest. On the cam cover, cams are sitting in the bottom. Those are all degreased. The dog bone parts, the shims are all degreased. And then went through the oil pump, which surprisingly looked really good. I was actually impressed. So I took apart the oil pump, threw all this in the degreaser. The filter's still on here. This is getting replaced. I'll pull this out and brake clean that at least. But here's the cylinders. Already done with machining. So dropped these off with Warren Sr. Took care of these for me really quick. I dropped these off on Thursday. He had the rough machining done. We ended up only having to go 5 over, which is nothing. As bad as these pistons looked, 5 over on the jugs is nothing. The pistons took the beating. The cylinders were fine. So we went from a stock bore 1200 conversion kit to a 0.05 over. The smallest size incrementally going up. It's 5 over, then 10, 20, 30, 40, etc. We only had to do a 5 over bore on the cylinders, so these are all freshened up, cleaned up, degreased. Just finished doing that today. And we got brand new mid-USA pistons. I'm not getting the S&S ones that came with the S&S motor. The S&S ones might be a little bit nicer, however, they're about $480. Those? About $100. Then the Hastings rings for the 0.05 over was almost $100. Actually, the rings cost more than the pistons. Kind of crappy, but that'll get us back rolling. I borrowed the brand new gasket set for the Evo chopper that I just posted a short of. Hopefully you'll see it. On my buddy's bike, he had that, so I'm gonna reorder a bunch of gaskets individually instead of buying a whole kit. All I need is the base and the head gaskets for this because Senior didn't have any Evo stuff in stock. But now we're pretty much ready to start slapping this motor back together. A little bit more cleaning to do on some of these parts, but not that big of a deal. Here are the old pistons, and these are destroyed. For this to be a 5 over bore, thoroughly impressed. This piston's got a crack in it down here. But it is an 883 to 1200 conversion. So if you are ordering pistons for a 883 to 1200 conversion, or you're doing a big bore conversion kit, if you will, if you look at these pistons, these are dished. So you got your valve reliefs, which is fine. That's going to be on a flat top piston too. However, a 1200, a true 1200, will not have this machined section on the crown of the piston. This is machined into the crown to drop compression. From my understanding, if you run stock 1200 pistons in a 883 conversion, the bore is the same for a, what is it, 3.5, just shy of 3.5. The bore is the same, but if you run a stock 1200 piston, it does not have that dish, which will put you at like 11 or 11.5 to 1 on your compression ratio with the 883 heads for the small chambers that are in there. Don't quote me on this. This is just based on what I've looked up on the internet. But the dish is required for any of the 883 conversions if you're going to run 883 heads. If I had 1200 heads, then I would be able to get by with 1200 pistons. As far as I understand that, don't quote me on it. If I'm wrong, please let me know in the comments because I like learning about this stuff. I don't do a lot of Evo things. I'm a shovel head guy. I'm an iron head guy. I like the older stuff with kickers on them and, you know, old crappy tractor motors. But I wanted to start jamming on this last night. I got tied up at work, messing around with some other stuff and then playing chopper, making some wheel spacers on the other Evo project. So Wednesdays I'm trying to keep for going over to Lucky Knuckles' shop and working on some stuff over there. Got the cases glued together for the iron head chopper with that girder front end. Got those glued together, remounted in. I'm gonna have to cut 2 of the left side frame rail mounts off. I'm gonna square up the right side because that's the important part. Square that up, cut the other mounts off, and I'm gonna refab those with some spacers welded in so it's a single piece, I think. We'll get to that at a later date, but Evo motor is back, ready to assemble. This will get finished this weekend. And then the baby moons for my truck. They're off-white now. That looks really white in the garage right now through the camera, at least. I don't know what that's gonna look like when I edit, but I was really excited to keep those all cleaned up in chrome. Miscommunication, my part, because that's what I am terrible at, communication. He blasted one of them, so then I said, screw it, blast the whole thing. We shot the zinc primer on there and then coated them with the top coat to offset it. So now I'm gonna have 2-tone wheels. Well, the wheels match the truck. The hubcaps now match the top half of the truck. And we'll run with that. And when I get them all mounted, I haven't put them on the car. It takes 2 seconds now, but I haven't done it yet. When I get those mounted on the car, I'll give you guys a quick walk around with that. Ask your opinion. Not that it really matters, because I'm gonna do what I wanna do anyway. And we'll run those until I order up some fresh chrome ones. But that's kind of where we're at right now, so I will leave it at this. Just a quick little update. Thank you again, Senior, for knocking these out as quick as you did. Tomorrow we'll start jamming all these back together. We got gaskets, we got pistons, we got rings. We're ready to reassemble. Then there's a good chance I might bring that bike actually back to the house, because once the motor's off of the lift table here, motor can go off to the side. I'll run that bike back over here just because I got rid of the lift at the shop. That's over at Lucky Knuckles, and we're full right now. So I'll bring that Evo back here, throw it up on the lift. We'll drop that back in, fire it up, break it in, get it running, rip it around the block, give it back to Justice that owns this bike, and let him figure out what's gonna break after that. It's chopper things, right? So thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe if you don't mind. I appreciate it. Give me your feedback on these. We are back hardcore into the bike section of the fall/winter. This is what I do all winter. Car stuff in the summer. Now we're kind of transitioning back, and boat stuff, so sorry about that for you anti-boat people. You're just jealous you don't have one, right? Don't get one. Thanks for watching. We'll catch you guys on the next one. She's a little more naked. Cam chest is off. Primary and clutch are out. The bench is covered in oil, but crank feels good. So that's a win. Done tearing her down. Ready to start going back together. Cams are in, locked and loaded. Getting ready for top end. We're gonna save the primary because I left the starter at the shop. All these parts have to make their way back into this Evo. Good Friday night.